This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon everybody. This afternoon from here at Djuma Private Game Reserve, where it's bright and shiny. All you see back there on the background, they're all mix of the antelope, which is waterbuck and impalas, all having their unite here, gathering around. It's all about feeding together this afternoon and also for safety. So welcome aboard to your very own safari through the African bush. Good afternoon everybody again. We're sitting here, actually it's a higher point where we are right now, on top of the center of quarantine open area, where what you see there, it's all mix of the antelope, but two species, which is now looking at the waterbuck, but also in the shade. Looking at the impalas, also in the shade. What brings now together like this is that there's a feeding preference, but all different. Where impala, they're mixed feeder, and waterbuck, they're medium tall grazer. So my name is Andrew on camera. I have Simon this afternoon. This is how we're going to be planning to take you on safari. Look for possibly anything that is going to be out about in this sunny day, where the temperature of today is 35 degrees Celsius, 95 Fahrenheit. This is where we stand right now. And anyway, it's pretty little windy, picking it up already. And remember, we're coming to you live from this area, where we're expecting to communicate with you, whereby you registered on WildEarth website, and you head over to live safari page and you can submit your question there. And this is how we're going to be interacting with you in this beautiful wilderness. So peaceful out here. It's such an amazing. Or you can still use hashtag WildEarth on Twitter, as well as at FC YouTube channel, and 18 years under the age. You can still use kids questions at WildEarth.tv. So now, the impalas, they are mixed feeder, where the waterbuck, they actually mainly prefer medium tall grass. We now make all of the species benefit at the same time. Impala wouldn't mind mixing up with the other higher grazers animal, and they still benefit from very short grasses. The upper lip, which is split, managed to help them so much to get what they need. No, you say impala, they're such a quiet animals. You're very right. They're so quiet animal, and then you see the whole group over here. You know, it's all over, from some of them already in the brush where we can't see them, but the half of majority, they're right in the open area. And they don't make any sound right now. And they're all in it. Some of them in the shade, some of them in the right in the open. And they all love one another in this case. They will be able to help each other though if they see any danger. Anything. Oh, I just heard. You hear that? There we go. They're probably not sure what is going on. So I'm gonna check around here, see what is they making this impala threat, and I'm gonna be sending you over to Yapi with these grazing ellies.
But I have to say I'm actually quite excited about this and not driving guests, because
Camera, right? Sorry about that, Ngala. Don't know what happened there, but we're still here. So I'm gonna investigate now, since we heard that kind of alarm call. It was not actually a very strong alarm call there. But we're gonna get closer look, because if you even ever seen a little limp of whatever it is, if they're not too sure, they can still give alarm call. Meanwhile, there is something there. So we're just gonna, just before we go far away, and this is where we suspect that Dingana may be around still. So it makes me think of checks so much harder around here near this area. Well, if there is a cat around here, then it's very close to the camp then. But they all went quiet now, so probably maybe it wasn't something that it was so much about, serious about, coming out or showing off for them. Maybe it was kind of like when the wind blows, maybe it was a little bit of a movement with the grasses. But since they're in a group, one member concerned, everybody's got to do the same, run around and respond to kind of situation, call situation. Maybe it could be the guinea fowl there. There's a small visual of a guinea fowl in this shade. Harder to, there we go. I think maybe it could be these guinea fowl that they're in a shade area. Could be them, because then leopard would hunt guinea fowl as well when it's static in this area. It means maybe the impala seen them. So our plan this afternoon, we're going to be checking later on around the watering hole. This is when the temperature drop a little bit, so we can spend time sitting around, looking at these up trees, marula trees, hoping to see maybe a cat lying on top or on the ground, or sign of vultures gathering about, that maybe to show us that there is something dying nearby. Justin, so you're saying hope we find a lot of leopards today. This is actually my thought too, you know, when I left the camp, all I want to check was this morning I failed, you know, finding any of the cats. Lions are out of reach for a while. They're in a country where we can go, north in Bellinati, but then places where they are, we can't get a signal. So unless if they move slightly close to us or in a higher point where we can then go there, see them. But that's a Bellinati Pride. And the dogs was also been seen this morning running into Torchwood, where I believe nobody actually. Oh, Simon, you spotted an elephant. Okay. Yeah, so we got elephants. We gotta go around because they're far away. Let's go back to the access road and get close to them. So maybe later also we're going to check on these dogs when they're still around Torchwood area. Or we're probably just lying off, not doing much right now. Oh, they will be well fed, eaten on something. Impalas, quite a lot of impalas, baby, running around. As we know, they're very good hunters, the dogs. They hunt very well, cooperate, hunter, share food together in a member. So I'm gonna get close to these elephants. In the meantime, I'll be sending you over to Lauren.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a very hot day here in Buffelshoek. We have already left Djuma Private Game Reserve and we're up in Buffelshoek for the afternoon. My name is Lauren and I do have Davy once again on camera. Hello. He's got a very deep voice. And we had a very eventful morning. It wasn't so successful in terms of signal, I'm afraid, but we tried really, really hard to keep up with the Madash, also known as African wild dogs or painted wolves, the Sans pack. And we also tried to get Nkanyeni for you with her cup. But that's okay. We tried. We have more knowledge than we had previously. So we're doing a little tour of Buffelshoek. There's lots of dams here. Big, beautiful dams. And on a hot day like this, that's exactly where a lot of the animals are going to be. I want to go back and see if we can get the carmine bee eaters for you. And there was a specific individual that's at the very, very, very top of my bucket list that I have been searching furiously for weeks on end. I almost had him for you. Ooh, I almost had it for you yesterday. But unfortunately, the plans did not go that way. So nature will give us a result. We just need to keep working. And it takes a lot of work. So I'm going to keep working that area in case it is still around. But yes, he is still around, and it is a he, and he's very much in Buffelshoek most of the time. So we'll keep working, keep going around all the dams and see what we can see. And hopefully I'll end my drive at the Hyena Den. It will be very, very active, and all the adults and cubs will be there. And I'm not sure on the update on Ribbon, to be perfectly honest with you. I haven't seen her. The last I saw of Ribbon, she was going into Little Gallery. Can only hope that she's had a meal and she's good and she's strong and she's starting to heal. But we're not going to know that unless we check. So the end of the drive, I aim to be back at the den just when it gets cooler. There's no way there's going to be any active hyenas at this den in this heat. Luckily, when you're driving, you get a little bit of a breeze, but otherwise, it's extremely hot. Now we're heading to Jacana Dam. It's actually one of the most beautiful dams. Marcel and I only discovered it the other day, so hopefully we'll get a really beautiful view of Jakana Dam for you. So as I head there, we're going to send you back across to Andrew.
Good luck, Lauren. So we managed to get close to this elephant. It looks like it's actually a nice small breeding herd where they're just static feeding at the moment. And I was talking about the medium size grazers and then tall grazers, which then there was a waterbuck and now was a mixed feeder, which was impala. Now we got a heavily grazer, but also browsing, which is an elephant. And it takes so much of grasses. This time of year, all green, available grasses. And their browse as well, which take leaves from trees. So I'm just going to take this moment, look at them. Looks like they're going to walk towards, a little to the car. Okay, so you say this elephant's so cute. They're so beautiful. It looks like since looks like they've been in mud, where they slightly wet, and they started to kind of dry off. As you can see, that beautiful female, she's gonna walk past by. Bit of wet, but also dry take places on the other side. So they're so cute. So I'm going to stay put here, looking at these elephants. Hopefully they stick around for us for longer. I'm going to be sending you over to Devil with these zebra calf.
Welcome to a very dark and thunderous andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. We have some wildebeests here with their little calves in front of them or behind them there, and look at the lightning and the weather that we have here at the moment. Listen to the thunder rumbling in the background. So beautiful. My name is Djewald, and behind the camera we've got Len, and what we are gonna do is we're probably gonna see if we can stick around with these wildebeest. Oh, listen to that. It's actually getting quite scary. It's especially with us being on an open clearing like this. We were just chatting about it earlier with the lightning striking around us, and it's actually forming a big round circle, the storm, and slowly moving towards us. We can actually see the front as it's moving closer and closer. Look at all these young wildebeests sticking together, almost like a small nursery there. I can hear a few drops dropping on us now. A few heavy drops. Oh my goodness. But for now, I think we are going to see if we can get a bit closer to the lodge and leave these wildebeests. There, some of the youngsters are on their way, and we are going to be heading over to a watering hole.
We've arrived at dam number 1, and this is Jacana Dam. It's a lovely dam in the west of Buffelshoek, just north of Sydney's dam, and it's incredibly beautiful. We're lucky to be able to traverse here, and of course, as with most of the dams, the weavers are busy. They have arrived. You can hear them before you can see them, and then of course, you can see their beautiful nests. And biparental care is the most common sort of form in birds, especially passerines. But when it comes to parental care in the weavers that we're looking at right now, sorry about that, you're talking about the level of investment and about by the mother and father. That's what you're referring to. So sort of ensure the development and the survival of the offspring. So although they're not monogamous, and it's not a sort of biparental relationship, the males here, they are providing, in a sense, they are ensuring the development of the eggs to hatch into chicks. They are ensuring that there's a safe environment and it's away from predators, reduces parasites, there's a little internal microclimate. They are ensuring that the development of the chicks happens. It's definitely not a monogamous relationship, that's for sure. But there's some form of investment from the males here. Now, they, of course, want to mate with as many females as they can to ensure that their bloodline survives. But that doesn't mean that they're not invested. They're absolutely invested. Oh, hello, Hippo. You look nice and shiny. You're just having a little look at us, aren't you? He's thinking, we've never seen a vehicle that strange looking before. Now, with monogamous relationships in birds, of course, there's lots of studies now that say most monogamous relationships are not monogamous at all, at least in terms of the way that humans see it. And monogamy in birds allows more energy to be invested into the offspring. You don't have to get a breeding plumage. You don't have to call. You don't have to advertise and make nests and weave nests and collect grass and impress the ladies. All that energy that you would spend on doing that, you can then reserve it and spend it on sort of rearing your offspring, hunting, bringing food back for the mother and the chicks, and sort of a complete switch around. In a monogamous relationship, in birds at least, you also have paternal certainty. You know, or you should know, should I say, that those chicks are yours. So you are investing everything into your bloodline, your DNA. Now, it turns out that's not always the case. Some birds do have extra pair copulations. However, that's the fundamentals of a monogamous relationship. You're sacrificing mating with lots of other females, saving all that energy and investing it elsewhere so that you can have paternal certainty. Whether it is certain, that's another question. But that's the general sort of foundation for monogamy in birds. But that's not how it works for the weavers, of course. The more ladies, the better. And there's actually a study, and it's wonderful. It states that most monogamous birds actually cheat, and I use the words cheat, quote, end quote. It's a human term, but it's not monogamous after all. But it's also not polygamous, because it's behind the other's back. So not only are they not only monogamous, but there's actually said to be divorces, and again, quote unquote, in birds, where they end the relationship and then they go on to seek another monogamous partner. Yes, birds are complicated. Okay, so this is Jacana Dam. We are going to get ready to head round to Hartlepool Dam.
For the month of January 2021, we are offering a chance to win a unique WildEarth expedition to the magnificent Tswalu Kalahari. From the ancient quartized Koranenberg Mountains to the southern Kalahari's red sand dunes, Tswalu offers what travelers crave most: space and time. The winner will explore this landscape in a vehicle, on foot, or on horseback, with a chance to go behind the scenes with WildEarth and of course meet the meerkats. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend at the luxury Motse Lodge, including flights from either Johannesburg or Cape Town. Open to all WildEarth explorers who have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply.
My name is Ross, and I'm a field guide at andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on WildEarth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
Oh, it's going to be in trouble now. Oh, this is unbelievable stuff. Here comes a hippo in too. Go, Impala. There's a hippo coming in. I can't believe what we're seeing here. This is what we normally see in East Africa. It's all over. Hippo leaping at the crocodile now. Everything's gone underwater.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
So we're not, in fact, on our way to Hartlepool just yet, but we will give you some more beautiful views of Jakana Dam. Lynn, they're very cool, aren't they? They're wonderful nests. Very intricate, very detailed. And it takes a lot of work for these birds to put them together, and yet they can do it in about 12 hours on average. You get different species that can all hang nests in different trees. But yes, they are very, very cool. Davy spotted one plucking up grass. I think that's the lesser masked, actually. Oh, gonna grab the grass. And off he goes. Look, one pluck of one pluck of grass, and off he goes. He's going to add that to the rest of the nest. And that's how they do it, blade of grass by blade of grass. Darcy Ann, I would say the weavers. I cannot think of anything more complicated than weaving with your beak. I really can't. Blade of grass by blade of grass. And once it starts to get more intricate, it becomes more difficult to add in grass, and yet they can do it. They're such lightweight birds and so delicate, they're able to just weave. It's incredible. There's lots of beautiful bird nests, but for me, the weavers are the most complicated. And all of them, they all have the same goal, the same aim, the same methodology, the same skills. And look at them, they check, it's very sweet. They hang, they check, they admire their own work. They criticize themselves almost. If they don't like the way that they've just woven a blade of grass, they'll remove it immediately. Just hear them. It's such a pleasant thing, just sitting there listening to the noise. So much effort. You really feeding, believe it or not, and of course they need to be able to continuously feed in order to sustain themselves, in order to be able to a lot of work. You rarely see them actually taking the time to do that. And in some of them, in summer, most of... Okay, we are really going to make our way across the Untitled Dam now.
Thanks, Lorraine. Good luck checking the dam there. So we're still moving also west to check the western border. We have not yet there, but I'm sure we're getting slightly close by. And then, it's a bit of wind, so it's probably cooling off a bit, and the heavy cloud is coming from the south. So all this heat is going to be blown off soon. And those animals stuck in shade will come out. To do their movement. Not all of them actually in shade. We saw elephants moving in this heat, so some can be in shade where they feel they want to rest a little bit. Same with the leopard that we're hoping to find this afternoon. Can be resting or moving. A lot of the hunts they do, they push too much to hunt a lot during the night, because then they will camouflage. So the darkness that take place provide a lot of chance for them to be able to get close and close to the prey species without prey species realize that they're getting attacked. So if anything came from the west to the east into Djuma, in terms of a leopard, could be Shidulu, If it's a female, maybe. And if it's a male, right, you say you hope the animal will be active during this weather. They will actually. So not all of them will be in shade all the time. Many of them, they will be moving. Those that don't really mind, you know, they want to take it easy in shade, but those that have to reach their destination. Leopards has to move out of their property to get to somewhere else. There's only time, or they're pushing on a hunt to get their prey, and they're hungry. There's a chance you'll see them during the day moving. Actually great because the road over here looks like they have dragged the tires, smoothed the road, so it looks clean from today. I think they did it during the day though, so it's easy to tell if there's anything on top here. Then it's got to be recently. Now we're checking direction towards the north, and then from there we're going to take it straight east. When you're asking which animal for me is easy to track, all animals for me it's great to track, including all lions. And then the animal that I won't be comfortable tracking, it's a buffalo on foot. They're not great also, and they're very harm. So lions, leopards, even elephants, I can still track them. And the rhino, I can still track them. So except for that buffalo that, no, I won't track that, but the rest of them are fine. But tracking on a leopard or a lion, especially leopard, because they don't move in groups. There's so many of them around here, because then since we don't find them in group like pride of lions or packs of dogs, they all tend to be very much elusive. And the animal that they prefer to walk through grasses, and then a ravine there. So let me carry on, check around. If we find something to put in a frame, I'm going to be sending you over to Yapi.
Good afternoon and welcome to andBeyond Ngala, where this afternoon we are driving the Timbavati riverbed. And we're currently looking at some tracks of a pride of lions that's been seen in this area for the last couple of days. Now, we've had tracks from yesterday and see where the whole pride was moving up and down. But other than that, we haven't had too much luck yet. This part of the riverbed is quite overgrown at the moment. There's a lot of reeds that started growing, and there's a lot of elephant activity nearby. And the Pride of Lions in this particular section has had new cubs lately. So we were hoping, if we're extremely lucky, that we might even get a glimpse of those. I don't know if I've said this, I'm here behind the camera, we've got BK. And I think this afternoon, due to the heat today, we're going to stick in and around the Timbavati riverbed, stick towards the shade as much as possible. There's a huge cloud that's just moved over, and for the next couple of days, we have had a forecast of extreme rain in this entire area. So it would be interesting to see how that affects the animal movements for the next couple of days. In the case of these lions, if they have tiny babies, and if it does rain so much, it will be a little bit of flooding, like predicted, then I'm pretty sure these animals might decide to move the little ones away from the danger. You can see, if you look all around us, there's quite high banks on either side of us here. And this part of the riverbed never really used to look like this. It used to be quite gradual. And with the large flood years. Tenga, how long is the... That's a good question. I don't know what the entire span or distance of the Timbavati riverbed is. I do know that on Ngala itself, we are very fortunate that we can drive 19.2 kilometers. And that stretches from the willows straight through towards the eastern part. The river flows east, and east of Ngala, as well as on Ngala, you do find these rock beds, like the ones that we just looked at. They go deep below the sand, and they stop from draining away everything. So it's pools, and because we have elephants, as well as other animals, come down to come and dig for the water. You can see over there the rock faces, and that's a huge straight up rock face, and these rocks are mostly granite. And if you look very carefully, you'll notice in between there's a little bit of a pinkish tinge to it. Rock beds like this does make it difficult for some animals to get up and down. Animals, it provides great protection. And small antelope like the klipspringer, this would be the perfect habitat for them. It's also a great spot for an animal like a leopard to hoist prey in the nearby trees on the bank, from which she'll have a great view of the nearby area. And the Timbavati riverbed flows from the west over towards the east. Annie, I'm sure there are some minerals in these rocks. I'm not sure exactly which minerals. None of value to the point where they would be mined. But there are quite a lot of different rock types in between, which personally I don't really know all of them. All I know is that the rock type here is mostly granite in this particular part of the low veld. And it's quite an old rock type, and actually exists from the time of the Earth's original crust. And you can see there's a lot of little shrubs like that one growing out of the rock, and often there are animals that come and try and eat them. And something as steep as this, even the elephants sometimes try to get up there. There's a nice breeze that's picked up now. Keegan, it does look complicated, and certainly for somebody like me who's not a geologist, it is quite complicated to exactly know what's going on there. It's interesting though, like a place like this does have an impact on the vegetation type in this particular area. It changes quite a lot which makes it more varied, and it makes this area quite exciting to explore. It's different types of trees, different types of plants that grow here that you normally wouldn't find in other areas. But it's also, this bank has been hollowed out and carved out over the years. We're sitting right on one of the major bends within the riverbed on Ngala. And when the water comes down with its full force, it usually comes down and moves over towards that side in the bend, and it presses up, and over the years gradually erodes more and more of that bank away, which widens the river and also change the entire layout of this particular part of the reserve. If we go down from the rock face and we look just down below on the sand, then we will notice that there's a little bit of a deeper part down below these rocks. Of course, all the water from the rain runs down the rocks and they go right down there, which they get trapped. And that's when the elephants go and dig for them down there. Here, like these little ones we see now as a type of heliotrope, or one of the common names for get-me-nots. Funnily enough, come the heavy rain, come the flooding, all of this will be washed away again with the top layer of the sand if the water comes down in full force. LT, how much water would be needed to fill this riverbed? That's a tricky question to answer. I don't know if there is a specific answer for it. What I can tell you is that what I've seen before is this river in 5 years' time, I've only seen it flow once properly, and that was when we had about 125 millimeter over the course of 2 days. And that was extreme heavy rain. I know before then the river did flow a couple of times properly. I know in 2011, 2012 it was a massive flood year. So much so that dam walls further up the Timbavati, even off Ngala, the dam walls broke, and all of that water added to this mass amount of water that came down the riverbed. And it did change the layout quite a bit at that stage. And there's a slightly cooler breeze that's picked up now. I think we're going to go up and then have a look at these birds in a tree.
Thank you very much, Sabi. Now we have a Magpies Rock here. It looks like we can't see it clearly underneath because there's too much thicket that takes place, but there's a little one that is still calling in there, but that one's gone. This probably was a nesting going on there. So all the young ones have probably started to move about. And I believe they won't move too far. They still need their parents to give food to them. It's one of the chick that we're looking at. You hardly see the tail, long tail. They're still young. So they also move in such a group of probably anything from 7. They're a very noisy bird. And this is actually call they make all the time when they're happy. So we're gonna move on our search. I'm gonna be sending you across to Lauren with a lilac-breasted roller.
Oh, it is not a lilac-breasted roller. That is not correct. I have put this one on screen because it is in fact a European roller, and I am overjoyed to see it. Now they're back, and we've seen them a lot now. But the fact that we just went through a whole summer, a whole season last year and not seeing them, it's just so lovely. I can't think of a better word to see them once again. Now, they're very similar to the lilac-breasted roller. They're in the same family, but they are not the same species, are you? You don't look happy to be called the lilac-breasted roller. You're not lilac. There's no lilac on this bird whatsoever. It's turquoise. So you can see from far away that it's got the body shape of a roller. Same body shape and pretty much the same size, almost, although the European is slightly, marginally larger than the lilac-breasted, and it has a different tail. It has quite a sort of normal-looking tail, whereas the lilac-breasted rollers, they have streamers. They have 2 streamers at the back. So there's no lilac on this bird, it's mainly turquoise, and both sexes are extremely similar, so it's almost impossible to say who's the male and who's the female. And they come here, they're normally present from about October, but I would say in this particular area in the Lowveld, it's November. I would definitely say end of November, start of December is when we start to see the Europeans, and they normally say October for the north of South Africa, and they sort of reach the south of South Africa, if that makes sense, in December. Now, they're a non-breeding migrant, so they're still a migrant, but they're not here to breed. They'll leave in March, April, along with all the other migrants, but they're not here for the reason to breed. So therefore, they're going to be... My goodness, that was rather loud. So they're going to be rather silent because they're not calling, they're not advertising, they're not the same as the woodlands kingfisher, who needs to make sure that everybody knows they're present. They're mostly here to eat, they're here to feast on all the delicious insects, from beetles to grasshoppers to ants, crickets, termites, of course, termites. They're here to feast rather than to breed, and that's why they do stay silent. They can occasionally make quite an ugly call, similar to the lilac-breasted roller. But really, they're not advertising. They don't have a breeding call. Whereas the woodlands, as you know, they will sing away all day. Cleo, I believe they only have around 4 or 5, I think 4 colours, unless you're including the sort of white around the face. It's nowhere near as elaborate as a lilac-breasted roller. It's mainly turquoise. It's got a small blue patch on its shoulder. I'm not sure if you're able to see that. More of a royal blue. And then you've got that fawny, browny colour on the wing, and then black towards the end. But most of it is turquoise. It's just so, so lovely to see them, really. But they do breed in Europe, Middle East and Asia. So when they leave and they're stocked up and they've feasted well throughout the summer, they will then breed in different parts of the world. Just not here. They're not here for that reason. So you'll regularly see them hunting, plucking insects off the ground, but not displaying and not calling and not swooning the ladies. Miley, yes, is bigger than a bee-eater. Bee-eaters are quite small. They're very small birds, particularly the little bee-eater. I mean, the little bee-eater itself comes in at 15 grams. and only 15 centimeters tall. That's 15 grams. That's tiny for the little bee eater, whereas the roller itself, especially the European roller, let's go with that one because that's obviously what we're looking at, is 125 grams. 125 compared to 15. So yes, it's remarkably bigger, almost double in height as well. But I am hoping to go find the carmine bee eaters again. That was such a great sighting yesterday. And I promised Davi we would find them this morning, and of course we bumped into dogs. But the carmine is a lot bigger than the little bee eater. That comes in at around 60 grams. They're said to be in that area frequently, so hopefully we are going to come across them. But you never know, we might bump into something else. Buffelshoek is full of surprises. Jane, you're saying it would be very nice if the broad-billed roller showed up. Yes, it would be. I'm not sure I've ever seen a broad-billed roller, to be perfectly honest with you. It's very, very purple in colour, and it does have a limited distribution to the sort of northeast of South Africa. So it could show up here, but I've actually never seen one. It's very, very sort of similar looking to the purple roller than the European roller. It's a deep purple in colour. But I've actually never seen a broad-billed roller. I haven't got that on my bird list, I'm afraid. The purple rollers are around here. They're just not as common as the lilac-breasted. Okay, Mr. Roller, or Mrs. Roller, actually. You could be either. I'm not sure. It was such a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for coming back this year. We did miss you last year. I still don't know the reason why they didn't come back, really. I mean, it could be, and I'm guessing it's environmental. I really think it has to be related to environmental conditions that they didn't come here. But we really, really don't know. We also carmine bee eaters last year either. Nobody did. But of course, they're here on Buffelshoek as well, so they're obviously back. So maybe there was some sort of fluctuation last year that we didn't realise. Maybe there was some factor that wasn't immediately obvious to us, and that sort of changed their behaviour. It caused a shift in their pattern, and they didn't arrive. Now, my next dam is Jordan's Dam. So hopefully we will see some lovely sights up at one of the northerlymost dams.
All right, thank you so much, Lorraine. But look on the background of that tree, and we're looking at the sky on the far south. Looks like it's going to be pretty much a windy. Maybe later this is a sign from the way distance. We're still fine now. And now looking at this tree here, it's one of the decent trees that you see pretty much everywhere. And they are Bellinati trees. And sometimes they can be grow to a very decent tree though. And they provide such an amazing shade for the elephants, most specifically, to roost underneath when it's too hot. And now we're looking at the very small, they're still small though, bigger, but it's not actually yet there. It's going to get a very decent big tree. Bellinati or torchwood. It actually was discovered as a good trees for furniture. So also does have a beautiful, such a delicious smell fruit which is edible from kudus and elephants. They would love that fruit so much. such as a grey duiker as well. You find them.
So we are driving a road right next to the riverbed on the bank at the moment, and this particular area, the vegetation is completely different. It used to be an old road along a maintenance road actually for the power lines in this area back in the day when they put them up. But it is a great area to come and have a look for animals such as hyena on a hot day like today. In and amongst the taller trees and the denser areas here, we have a lot of little pan systems forming. The mud that form in these parts, or the soils that settle here after many years of rain, and the water that kind of washes all the good soils down here, creates the perfect habitat for a lot of creatures that have the need to cool themselves down using mud during the middle of the day. That includes creatures like the rhino, the warthog, and on occasion elephants in here as well. There's more variety in terms of what to eat for an animal looking for the leaves of trees or grasses. And then of course it provides very good cover for predators. Hunting small antelopes like the impala, settling in pretty large herds around the clearings near the riverbed. And that's what makes it so tricky looking for certain animals this time of the year. It's because of the rain, the water spread out all over the area. There's no particular fixed watering hole where animals would go to go and have a drink like they normally would on their daily routine. And that's why we were hoping that maybe we might pick up on some signs of a leopard or further signs of those lions. Now, from what we could see, it looks like most of those lion tracks aren't particularly fresh. Nola, what is the biggest antelope we have at Ngala? The animals on Ngala come and go, so we don't have a animal that constantly stay here, so to speak. And in that case, I'd say the largest antelope we find in the area is the eland, sorry. But as far as I know, eland haven't been seen on Ngala in a very, very long time. Other than that, of the animals we see more regularly, we have kudu, and kudu is a pretty large antelope, as well as wildebeest. Funnily enough, the wildebeest is actually an antelope. Talking about antelope, we've just come across a herd of impala, and very interestingly enough, you can see that they're standing right on the edge of this beautiful clearing. Now there's a wind that picked up, and although it's nice and cool after such a hot day, it is getting quite strong. Now, you can see a little bit of life. Have a look at those impalas. You can see some of them, their jaws are moving. The others are staring in our direction, which now it seems like they've settled down. They've acknowledged us. One there grooming its backside. And you can see all of the ears up and quite focused. Pele, if I got your name correctly, are there no females, or are they male or female? These are all females. You can see no horns if you have a look at all of those. The males have, it looks like they are all females, at least from where I can see, but I'm sure there should be some males in between them. maybe 1 or 2 younger males with very small horns, yearlings from the last year's lambing season. And then I don't know about the babies. I don't actually see any babies at the moment, but there should be some of the males in and amongst the babies as well, which we won't be able to tell clearly at this point. Now, these particular areas that this group of impala would have been feeding on for the last couple of days are areas that's well contested for by the big males, because these are the best parts. As you can see, it attracts big herds of females like this one here. Have a look at that one. He's constantly staring, and you can see the rest are not even paying attention. Although the ears are focused this way, they're facing the other way. And look at the tails go. Constantly, except that one focused in this direction. And that's because they're standing in the tall grass. And like I said earlier, this area is full of small little mud wallows or pans, like mud pans filled with standing water, which over the last few days with the heat would have probably attracted quite a lot of flying insects that would have bred there, mosquitoes that hatch from there. Kaylee, if I got your name correctly, does this herd stay together for life? They don't really. In this case, it would more than likely be smaller groups that's joined together in this area just because of out of common interest, in this case food and shelter, the proximity to drinking water. Now they congregate and they often form these, there's one there at the back that just got a fright of something, or maybe just irritating by a biting fly. But they do gather together like this because when there's a lot more of them, they have a better chance of being alerted to the presence of predators. In this particular area, and I'm sure that's why they're still standing there, is they were more than likely using the shade of that tree line when it was still very, very hot about an hour ago before the clouds moved over. And in that case, most of their day in the middle of the day is standing in the shade and chewing the cud or ruminating. You can see there's a lot of nervous looks in all directions. That one walking out in the open to get a better view. And in and amongst these dense trees, we often find leopard moving. We do see a lot of signs of leopard here. We know that this is an area that we would come to come and search for any signs of leopard, as well as hyena. Now, besides these impalas being drawn to this area, the hyenas nearby probably would have come here as well for some water to cool down. Yes, believe it or not, some predators like the hyena do enjoy cooling themselves down with the mud or the pans with the shallow pans with water. And so you can see with all of these impala around, they don't seem extremely nervous. They can go about, you can say, heads popping up and down. And the one's facing down, like the one right in front. And then a quick jerk of the head up. And some grooming. Now it looks like they're just rubbing their nose on the itchy patch on the body. But what they're actually doing, and if you look at the two right behind them in the middle as well, it just did the same. And what they're doing when they're grooming is they have these bottom incisors or teeth right at the front of the jaw, of the bottom jaw, and those teeth are quite loose. So as they pull them through the fur, it kind of acts like a comb, and it removes any excess parasites on the skin, like ticks, for instance. And then they also, ooh, I wonder what happened there. That was quite interesting. You can hear a bird going as well. Sounds like a tall spur fowl, which is making an alarm call. The impalas themselves don't look too alert. You can see most of them now have their head up and they're focused in different directions. But I didn't hear any alarm calls. So what I suspect is that there was one that probably got spooked by something simple, maybe like that bird or something moving in the grass. At the moment there's a lot of grasshoppers around. And I've seen some of the birds as well as impalas get a fright from the grasshoppers because they jump from one thick patch of grass to the other. And they might even, if you're not sure exactly what it is, or if the animal's not sure what it is, it might give it a spook. And with impala specifically, if the one animal starts moving and running around or jumping, then the rest of the animal's natural reaction is to do the same. Now I can hear some calling up ahead, but it sounds like males chasing each other. Carter, how familiar are these animals with humans? They are quite familiar with humans. In this particular area, there is 2 camps nearby, 3 camps actually, which means that they do encounter people quite often. Now, when people do drive through the Kruger Park, there's a lot of impala in the Kruger Park. It's one of the most numerous large mammals. Then they often tend to think that they're just seeing more and more impalas, but impalas actually use a specific area, even though they're not territorials, the female. They do roam over a larger area with good feeding grounds, near water, and they might go to that area every now and again and then rotate between the different feeding grounds. So they do stick around a similar area over a couple of days at least, which means that they do encounter people driving the roads quite often. But naturally, it's an animal that gets preyed on quite often by other large predators, and especially a female impala. Besides its wits, its alertness, its very keen senses, and its speed, she doesn't have any other means of protecting herself, so naturally she would be more alert to any unknown presence or anything that might give the idea that there's a potential danger around. And that's why they do seem a little bit more nervous, especially when the wind is blowing or when the weather picks up. It changes their behavior slightly. They're more jumpy, so to speak. But just have a look at this. So now we actually have a better view of this herd, and you can see how many there are. And in between you'll notice some young ones as well, like that little one right there. Now, I can't see little, ooh. Believe it or not, that was because of a bird. And have a look now. So while we continue to have a look and see what these impalas get up to and what will spook them next, we are going to link to Lauren with a eagle up a tree.
I think we have a steppe eagle. Davi's going to do a great reveal. That was wonderful. Now, the reason I think it's a steppe, they look very like Tony's, but this is a really large individual. I wish I could give you some sort of reference, but it's very difficult looking at it through a camera. But Tony's are not normally this large. Steppe eagles are bigger than Tony's, and if you look at the leg, we're getting a wonderful view of its right leg. It looks very thick, doesn't it? It looks very, very fat. Now, it's not, it's just the feathers. They have much wider, sort of baggy feathers, leggings, if you like, than do tawny eagles. So when you look at them, tawny eagles will have much thinner legs. They've still got feathers, of course, they're true eagles, but it's much thinner. Whereas the steppe eagles look like they're wearing some really baggy yoga pants. Active wear. We're going on a safari in our active wear. But you know what I'm trying to say? It looks like really baggy yoga pants. And that's normally the clue that you're looking at a steppe eagle. 1, size. 2, the baggy leggings. You can look at the eye. The eye is brown. Now, it's really, really difficult to tell from here. But in steppe eagles, the eye is brown. And in tawny eagles, the eye is yellowish. It's much paler than the steppe. And it's got quite a shallow gape. If you look at a tawny, that gape that extends from the mouth, that yellow line, it sort of finishes mid-eye, if you like. Whereas if you look at the steppe eagle, the gape extends way behind the eye. So those are the sort of 4 features that is always best to look at when you're trying to decide, are you looking at a steppe eagle, are you looking at a tawny? But immediately upon arriving here, I can see this individual, this raptor is huge. They both have different color morphs, which doesn't help the situation, but this is much bigger than a tawny. Then I look at the legs, and I'm obviously trying to get a good look at the face, and I think I see brown eyes. What do you think, Davi? It's hard to say. Yes, it is. I wonder if we can get any closer. It just so happens that this individual is looking away from us, but I'm sure it's brown. But either or, it's a raptor. Rosalind, the largest eagle that we see here in Djuma, or at least Djuma is obviously a very small area, the sort of northern sector of the Sabi Sands, if you like, it's the Marshall eagle. That's the largest we get out here. And we do see them. I tend to spot them regularly on Chitwa rather than Djuma itself. But the Marshall's the largest we get here. They can weigh in at 4 kilograms, which is actually quite heavy. I mean, if you think of this steppe that I'm convinced this is, they come in at between 2.5 to 2.75 kilograms. So it's just less than double a Marshall. That's the biggest ones that we get out here in this area. Davi and I got very lucky once with the long-crested eagle. Do you remember that, Davi? But they're also quite rare for this area. We don't really get secretary birds here. We get the African harrier hawk, the tawny eagle, the steppe eagle, the lesser spotted. We do get the lesser spotted. They're the most common ones. And the Wahlbergs, of course. The Wahlbergs are everywhere. I think we're looking at a steppe. Magnificent birds. Raptors. They seize using their talons. And that's where the name raptor comes from. It comes from a Latin word. Oh, Janice. That's a very tough question.
insane is that animal?
This is out of this world. Fantastic. Good, Mama.
Wow, what a way to start off.
It's just such an incredible privilege to be out here. It just keeps on delivering.
There you go, there you go. Heart is pumping right now.
3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Look at this, everybody. We've got a live kill.
The croc's holding the tail. It's holding tight. Lucky wildebeest. There's nowhere to go. This is a disaster in the making.
Something that I have never seen before in my entire life that you are now watching live.
My heart is in my mouth, everybody.
Look at this. It's gonna make it. It's going, it's going.
This is just too magical. Hi, little guys. That's great, isn't it? Look at that. Scuba Steve has got a friend.
You've got a friend in me.
It couldn't be a better morning. This is just too special.
Oh my goodness, we've got a turtle.
How epic is the fact that we're coming to you live from the Chobe River?
It's the most incredible feeling to be here. This is live, and we're in Rwanda. This is a very, very different adventure, charged with emotion.
I did not think I would ever face my fears like this.
All right, so but now since we're on a search, looking around, and really, it's nothing, no cats that actually we can find any tracks now, but we come across very interesting tree over here. It's actually quite a common tree in the area as a silver cluster leaf or terminalia tree. It's actually indicate the area. If you're ever in an area where you're not sure about how soft it is in terms of when it ever rains too much, wherever you see that tree, then you will really avoid it. And those trees like these are typically kind of everywhere in the low field, pretty much. But they're silver names after where usually at night when you shine around, you easily pick up trees individually if there's around trees like this, because their leaves are kind of like very much in a silver color. But also, so the roots for the trees, it's actually treatment for a stomach. If you have a bad running tummy, you actually have to dig down for the roots. Not all of, many of them, but amount of them. So you either boil them, you cool them off, and then you take maybe a big spoon, maybe 3 spoons. In a few hours again, 3 spoons. It actually doesn't really taste good though, because I tested the leaves itself, and the leaves is treated the very same problem. And it's sour very much, but it helps tummy as well, these leaves. But it's also had a very much great relationship, or there is a specifically a wasp parasite that sometimes like to visit the trees. And as we take you through there, you can see this little expand tissue that takes place in there, as you know, of the galls making wasps. Is that a type of the parasitic tree or the insect that specifically fly around, look for the trees? Out here we see many of the trees as silver cluster leaf, where a lot of time they've been injected by the wasp, and after that, during the growth of the trees, or doesn't actually take long, so the tissue expand, and that's how it lays its egg inside. So later on, and the live larva will actually pop out, able to feed slowly from inside once it's hatched, and then make its way out. And again, it's so good that the bark as well, out in the village you can use them. And even when you see elephants feed on this tree, when they peel the bark, it's actually like a very long rope all the way down from the top. And it's actually very yellow bark, and the trunk itself, the wood is inside. It's yellow when you cut it or when you peel it off. You still see a lot of yellow in that. So what we were told, not ever play around a tree or peel any of the bark when you're wearing any of the white, palely white clothes, because then it's going to be painted and you won't going to get it off. So yeah, during the rain where it's so much holistic, it looks like a fruit. Yeah, these waspers I'm talking about are pretty much well known in some area. Some other places they have all different sorts of these galls making waspers. Some type of them, they can actually inject leaves itself, and then from there the egg is laid. But out here we have a slightly bigger one which they're able to, so abdomen, is tongue trees, which is very much kind of like a needle system, but that chemical came out and you can't believe it. It's not actually, doesn't actually sting any human. It's never been recorded, but it's going to do damage to a tree like this. And it's the only way for that wasper insect to lay its egg nowhere else except for lying in one of the trees or leaves and things like that. So it becomes kind of a parasite because there the growth of the tree come and stop. Won't be any more branches growing over, even though we know elephant have visited these specific branches and break it off. So we're going to make our way down to the dam there now to see if there's anything at the dam. Hoping to find, I haven't actually given up. Stuck in bed. Indeed, such a beautiful, it's quite a lot out here. And so much, then it's quite a little things. You look for it, maybe hard to find it. And sometimes you have to stop and go underneath the trees and check carefully in these little branches. And I presume if we else out of South Africa, you're more likely to find those that actually penetrate the leaves. And then if you see the leaf that has been disturbed, it's kind of like a strange growth that take place, is those waspers. Galls making waspers. So we're gonna go to the dam to see if it's anything drinking. It's actually a very good type of a day that elephants may be likely to be found swimming or visiting waterhole for a drink. Apart from the hippo being in the water for a long day, which they're well blessed during a hot day, and they still have plenty of water to soften their skin. As the hippos. Looks like we've got them yet. The hippo, not an elephant. So we've got other hippos in this water hole. I'm just gonna stop here now. So we can pass by WILDwatch Dam again. And this is where the hippos been seen, a few of them around here, and probably they all came back as a unit again last night, quite a few members there of them. white. Looks like two of a young one. Oh, there's more. It's so important for hippo to be in the water this time of heat, where they have to spend a lot of time in the water due to the skin protections against the sunburn. They have a tiny little ears. For such a big, huge body animal. The young hippo is still too young. The baby tends to ride on the mother for taking a breath a little bit. I'm going to be sending you over to a cow while I'm checking if there's anything coming to drink at this water hole.
Talking of drinking at the waterhole, we have just arrived at Cobasey's Dam. And there's a huge bull elephant having a drink. When I say huge, I mean extremely large. Look how wide that skull is. Look how large those tusks are. Now, the reason I come to Cobasey's Dam, it's small. It's a very good place to check for cheetah. This is actually where we had that female cheetah not so long ago. We had a wonderful sighting of her actually chasing after a warthog. It wasn't successful, but this is a really, really good place if you want to check cheetah in the sort of North Sabi sands. This is why we come here. No luck on the spots front, but we've definitely got lucky on the elephant front. He's listening. There's another elephant. I think it's another bull. I don't know if they're going to interact or if they're just two nomads that happen to be at the same dam. I'm not sure. We've just arrived. It's a lovely dam, this one. And of course, elephants can smell fresh, clean water up to 12 miles away. They're very fussy drinkers. If they come to... Sorry, this gets me every time. If they come to a body of water and they're really thirsty and it's very, very hot and they need to drink, but the waters may be very stagnant and it's maybe slightly hypoxic, it's got algal blooms, they won't want to drink it if it's maybe got a lot of fecal matter in it from other elephants or hippos. What they'll actually do is dig at the side of the dam in the soft soil. So it's not hard soil. They use the soft, wet soil and they'll start to dig. And they'll dig deep into the ground, sort of bore into the ground, if you like, to get fresh, clean water. That's how fussy they are. Well, we're going to leave this beautiful moment with this bull elephant and send you across to Tswalu for a beautiful silent moment with the butterfly.
Yeah, we're still here, sitting, put. Now we got a visitor where the grey heron just flew in, again to participate for its own search for fishes, frogs around in its watering hole. It's probably because of now it's getting slightly cool compared to the day where we started. Afternoon it was very open sky, and now all animals that will come about when they wanted to move, those already on move, it's fine, but those have been in a shed, then they will come out.
Afternoon stations from Single Mother.
So grey heron also, one flight, probably maybe seen something or changing position, land again. So this is probably the hunt is going to be begin about. They was just scanning around for any of a safety. Sometimes they get disturbed by other bird of prey, such as big eagles around here. You say you love this bird wingspan. I mean, it's such a tremendous looking bird, such a beautiful for sure. And especially on flight when they land, just like on a secreted bird. Those of you know the secreted bird will say they do that. When they land, they land and they run just before they stop. It's got a very sharpening beak, that able bird to stab fish to kill. And they were probably going to shake it off before it kills it. Make sure it's dead and it's swallowed up if it's a good size. This is actually hunting methods where it will be stationary. Eventually, whatever fishes may feel confused, attracted by the white that is taking places, and they're all just gonna walk around it, touch its leg, and this is how it's going to get its meal for the night. It already went slightly deep enough that you see the legs was far too tall. Now it's already almost inside there to the water. Lisa is saying it's a gorgeous heron. You're right. You're very right. They're so beautiful, especially grey heron out here. And there's also Ngala heron, which actually they're around, but I think they're very harder to be found. Those one. But they're slightly bigger than that then. So Ngala heron and this one, they're the only one that have very smart, longer legs. And a night heron as well, those one. Greenback heron, they mainly, you find them perched on the branches. And they walk along the edge, bank of the water for its hunt, because so small. And it's so cool here for them to do the hunting because there's no many of a crocodile for sure here. I haven't in this season seen a single crocodile. Where most of the water hole where there's a crocodile, and they're more likely hunting birds. And that bird is in the water like this inside, more likely to be caught, killed by a crocodile. So the wingspan, it's about 230 centimeter for a male, 206 to 830, somewhere there, centimeter. So it's quite a long wingspan. Alright, so I'm going to continue on search. I've checked the dams, nothing here, so I'm going to continue my way to the east. And we're going to check the eastern boundary. And just have a look at these two buffalo bulls. I'm saying bulls, if you look closely, you'll notice this one right in the middle at the top of the head is a very rough helmet-like structure, and call that a boss. And the males are the only ones that have that. Just have a look. The buffalo's right ear on our left-hand side. That ear is completely torn up. It's literally got a loose piece hanging and looks like it might fall off at any point. Piece of grass in the mouth. Looks like bare patches of grey skin in and around the eyes, on the forehead. And it looks like there's still water dripping off this buffalo. And this is certainly a more seasoned animal. It's definitely pestered by flies as well. And just look at the size of that animal. Look at the size of that neck and the shoulders. I'm going to move slightly forward so we can get a better view. And you can see there's 3 of them here. They've just come out of the water where they've cooled down. And I think now they're going to start moving off. Alright, thought I'm gonna make my way out, but here we got a beautiful whole weavers, musk weavers that are about to build a nest. I think they've been nesting here for quite some time. But you see, it's never end because, they take so much of time and it takes time for them to do this. When many of the nest, after they're finished, it's a female job to check if it's complete, whether she like it or not. And then if she don't like it, then it means the male is going to build another one close by again in a similar position, same tree. Finally, you got a lot of abandoned older nests, or those are not used, which they fail due to inspection from the female. It can be so noisy as well. And there, each one of them, they pair, even though so many of them. There's a wife and husband, and each one of them. While you're saying that its strongness doesn't fall down, indeed it is. It's amazing how it's placed into one of these thin branches. And the reason for that is it's for safety against the snakes, those type. They're more likely to choose trees which is in the middle of the water so that there's no chance for the snake to reach those nests. And the way you see they're all balancing here, they're all flapping their wings. It's all about all technique happening there of putting these piece of grasses into place. But once the nest is done, the whole of it, it's material, soft material. It's kind of like a wild cotton. Those put inside for smooth their eggs and the young one when they're hatch. And now pretty much seasonal. So November, December, January, somewhere there, it's all about the nest has to complete. This time, next month, they're all gonna make sure it's all done. And next season, it may come back to the same area again. So the next season, which is probably next year, and they will probably come back to the same place to replace the nest. But it's got to be a new nest. All of the materials that's going to take place there. They weren't going to go to the older one. out. You're saying their wings are so fast for them to stay balanced. Yeah, as you see there, because they're actually upside down, but holding up. And they got to make sure when they move around so much, they hover around a little bit in order for them to balance. See how Hippo have went too far away. From here, they all went to the end. I'm sure that side, that's where they're gonna make their way out. They all just went to group themselves right in there far. That's actually an inlet of this waterhole. So I'm gonna get close to those nests there, while I'm sending you across to Lauren with something small.
Small but special. Davy and I's favourite insect. The one and only dragonfly. Holding on here, battling against, well, there's not much of a breeze. I wish there was more of a breeze. But I actually read a really interesting article recently, and it was called Life Without Men, and it was referring to insects, please don't get me wrong in any way, shape or form here, and how they've managed to sort of overcome a huge conundrum for insects. Now, sexual reproduction, obviously you have male and female. Yes, absolutely. We all know that. We don't need to go into that, and insects work that way too. But some insects can actually reproduce asexually. And what this means is, well, I guess they're opting for the single life, but some insects, let's take aphids, for example, female aphids. What they actually do, and it's very, very effective, is that they can simply wait for eggs inside of them already. The eggs are inside of the females, wait for them to hatch, and they simply give birth to other living aphid babies without being fertilized. So they can suddenly have a baby boom in the rosebush in your garden. The female will just start giving birth, and she hasn't mated, she hasn't met a male. You're a tiny little aphid, and you haven't yet searched for a male, and yet you are able to reproduce. Isn't that crazy? You're overcoming a huge obstacle of trying to find a male out here in the environment. And some aphid species, not them all, the female's likened to a Russian doll. You know, those bizarre, I'm not actually sure if they're ornaments or toys. I think they were toys long ago, but now they're ornaments, where you open up one doll and inside there's another doll, and then inside there's another doll, and you get the point. Because what happens is that the female can give birth to lots of little baby aphids, and then those baby aphids actually contain more baby aphids that themselves are already containing aphids. So you can just continue this lineage of giving birth without males. Isn't that absolutely astounding? Now, dragonflies don't do that, but I'm trying to broaden the category here to insects in general. And that means that they can reproduce extremely quickly without having to find any males. It can be a bit of a challenge if you're a tiny little insect and you've got to find the opposite sex. And that's really where hermaphrodites came from, in an evolutionary sense. Now, the aphids are not hermaphrodites, but it's a great way to sort of overcome looking for a male. But once there's a seasonal change, and it's to do with day length, once the day lengths get shorter, it's an environmental cue that triggers a biological cue. And the aphids, the female aphids, actually switch. And what they do is they do seek males. They will mate, they will fertilize their eggs and they will produce both males and females. Why do they do that? Well, it's the absolutely only way the species can survive. You need to mix the genetic material. You can't possibly just reproduce without mixing genetic material. You're only producing a clone of yourself. So for survival of the species, you have to. So isn't that incredible? Once the day length gets shorter, it triggers them to switch their reproductive method. And that's how they survive the winter. She'll lay her fertilized eggs on a plant, and then once spring comes, they hatch. Ethan, you are 5 years old and you're asking why are they called dragonflies. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to give you a very good answer here, Ethan, I'm afraid. They're fierce, I know that much. I think it stems back way into history. To us, they're very beautiful and they're small. But imagine being a little mosquito and you're flying around and you see this huge dragonfly with massive eyes and big mouth parts coming to get you. It will look very fierce, like a dragon coming out of the sky. They also have very unique biology, and especially when they're in their juvenile phase, when they're in their young phase, like you, Ethan, they also have very unique biology that contributes to the name dragonfly. But to us, they're very beautiful. But imagine if you're a tiny little insect and all you see is this coming to eat you. It's going to be rather terrifying, one thinks. And they used to be much larger. Dragonflies used to swarm the skies. Much, much larger than what we see today. But insects in general have got smaller and smaller and smaller. And they believe it's to do with the amount of oxygen in the atmosphere. It's made it a little bit difficult for insects and their respiratory system to be large. So over time, they've got smaller and smaller and smaller so that it's easier to draw oxygen into their body. They don't have lungs like we do. They have a tracheal system, which is like lots of little holes running around the side of their body and a straw-like system that draws in oxygen through diffusion. So if you imagine the longer the straw, the more difficult it is to diffuse oxygen when that concentration is low. But when that concentration is high, as it used to be back in the day with higher atmospheric oxygen, it's going to be easy. But because that's no longer the case, they then evolve to become smaller and smaller and smaller. There's actually another one up there, Davy. Do you see that one? I think it's because the sun's starting to set that they're starting to become a little bit stiller. Yes, nicely done. But can you imagine dragonflies being absolutely huge and swarming the skies? I mean, as much as I love them, I do think that could be, well, slightly terrifying, actually. They used to go up to about 75 centimeters. That's huge. So from my small little insect, we're going to send you across to Yappy with something much bigger.
We are with a male lion that's just picked up his head. And he's very well hidden in the shade of that magic worry. You can see beautiful light on him, shaking his mane because that's what he was doing. It's been happening now for quite a bit. Down, there's a wildebeest that's snorting from across the clearing that he's looking into, and that's the direction that he's looking towards. And you can see that he has got a very determined look in his eyes suddenly. You that haven't seen this yet, if you look at him, look at his tail, you can see it's flicking every now and again, and yes, there's a lot of flies in this long grass. that's also him contemplating his options. Have a look at him looking off to the side. His nose is up a little bit as well, and then the ears are flattened. Now that's to make himself less visible. And where he is very well hidden. There's nothing alarming at him. There's a little bit of sunlight falling on him. It was worth checking out, but not too much of a drive within him to try and attempt anything. Where the wildebeest is, the wildebeest is out right in the open, in the distance, and don't think that this lion will attempt to hunt. And Taylor, do male lions prefer to be solitary? They're actually quite social and not really solitary like most other lions. So the odd lion here and there that's got a different type of personality, that likes to spend more time on its own, or that just doesn't really have any other company to keep. In this case, this lion does have a brother. Usually the two of them do move together, or he moves with the pride. But at this point, if I had to guess, seeing where he is, which is a large clearing, and he's off on the edge of the clearing in the shade, I'd say he was probably patrolling territory. And when that happens, they do split up to cover larger distances. While we look at this lion in the shade, we're going to send you over to Andrew with a large nest of social weavers.
Thanks, Yappy. Good luck sitting with the lion. And now we get close to these weavers. But I think this is new for me. These that we've seen in there. We got a greenback heron sitting on its nest. And we've been looking for many times. Look, I don't know if the others have spotted there, but I haven't heard from them. But there is a greenback heron. So the nest material, as you can see, it's all twigs, type size of twigs. And they're all both partners involved in this, bringing materials, the males placing them on. It's about the same with nesting there. Females should put a nest, incubation take place, both parents. So incubation takes place 21, 25 days, which nesting is about 21 days. And then after hatch, the baby will be able to probably take its first flight in about 35, 34 days, but they already knew how to survive, getting stronger. They still need a lot of support from the both partner, mother and the father. Greenback Heron there. Can't you? Indeed, it is a great find. I mean, Simon actually was trying to zoom in and out there. You finally come across unique kind of something there. Then that's where you zoom in and they discover that it's a bird sitting in a nest, and it's a greenback heron. So a clutch of anything from 2 to 5 eggs sometimes. Greenback heron, now it looks like it's up, is the bird that I mentioned when we talk about grey heron. We also talk about that. It's a small heron, and they don't go deeper inside the water like grey heron does, because then grey heron, they have long legs. Starting to get out. I don't know what it's doing now. It's probably studying. Right. I'll stay a little bit longer here, see if there's anything. But if there's nothing, then arrive. Then we're gonna go. I'm gonna be sending you across to Yapi.
That is what's drawn the lion's attention. He's just ran off, but he still hasn't noticed the lion, and you can see the lion is also not too interested. He's got a very comfortable spot right in the shade, in the soft long grass. And I think from his perspective, there's no reason to give that up on this hot day to try and hunt a wildebeest, which will probably just run away as soon as he approaches him. Well, it's amazing when we look at this lion through the grass like that, except for that tail picking up every now and again, which by now is probably not just the flies bothering him. You can see there's a bit of a hump on his hip. Which is what attracts the flies. Now I've seen a few days ago, it looked like there was a little bit of a cut there, or some fur off, and maybe even a little bit of a bloody spot. So it's possible that there's something that's attracted this flies. Now I'm not sure exactly whether that's an abscess that's formed for some reason, or whether it is a old injury that's starting to show. And what I have noticed with a lot of the older male lions is that once they reach a mature age like this male, which would be more than 10 years of age, some of them do start to develop these protrusions or knobs on their back hip. Now, I wonder if it's got something to do with the fact that this animal often spends a lot of the time laying down, like he is at this point, on his side, flat. And unlike this position that we can see at the moment, where it's a nice soft grass in the shade, I've often found them on quite at least what I would deem uncomfortable spots. Hard ground, very gravelly. And then again, it might also just be an injury. Other than that, if we were able to have a good view of this lion, we'd see that even for his age, he is still quite strong. And at the moment, in a really good condition. He's had a good season. Up until now, even the hunting's been good, and they've had a lot of chance to eat well. Ruth, can this lone lion make a kill? It certainly can. And I think a little earlier we were lucky enough to see him being interested in the wildebeest that was around, and he was having a look at him, just weighing up his options. And he'll always do that. The predatory instinct within him will make him look at any situation like that where it's a lone animal or where he's alone, and to see if there's by any chance an opportunity to take down an animal. He's certainly capable of, he's strong enough, he definitely has the experience, and I've seen him and his brother on different occasions, each on his own, attempt quite advanced hunts, if you can put it that way. Now, he's quite big, he's quite strong and heavy because of all his weight and muscle, which means he's not quite as fast. But his experience and his stealth makes up for that. And if he can get close enough, he'll definitely take down any large animal or any decent-sized prey. Now, I don't see, from where we are, if we look at that, we can see the hips and the back leg. And you can see him breathing. If you look on the flank, you can see where the belly starts. He's breathing quite heavily, actually, and it's quite quick. I'm guessing which is because of the fact that it's so hot. But he doesn't look like he's eaten something, or at least not something large recently. Part of the reason why he is so still at the moment is because he is actually trying to cool himself down. Try to preserve as much energy as possible. Now, I don't know if any of our viewers would be able to hear this, but far off in the distance I can hear a hyena calling. It's actually calling quite relentlessly. Now, normally this cat would lift his head for something like that. See some slight shifts there. He's moved his leg. Even though with a lion it's a very slow process. He's definitely going to start thinking about making a move not long from now. I think it's cooled down sufficiently. So I think we'll sit with him for a little while longer.
For the month of January 2021, we are offering a chance to win a unique WildEarth expedition to the magnificent Tswalu Kalahari. From the ancient Kortai's Koranenberg Mountains to the southern Kalahari's red sand dunes, Tswalu offers what travelers crave most: space and time. The winner will explore this landscape in a vehicle, on foot, or on horseback, with a chance to go behind the scenes with WildEarth and of course meet the meerkats. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend at the luxury Motsu Lodge, including flights from either Johannesburg or Cape Town. Open to all WildEarth explorers who have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply.
My name is Moritz and I come to you live every day from Tswalu Kalahari here in South Africa. My favorite thing is probably the predators, and as you can see, we're looking at some of them right now. These are the kings of the Kalahari. Spending time with the cats, it's just a privilege. And I love their behavior, you know, the more that you look at them, just the power and the sheer beauty and elegance of them.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
Hello, boy. You are a monster. And he's coming right up to us. Hello, boy. Oh, settle down. Settle down. He is very, very close. He's pushing his trunk against the car. You can feel the car moving. Hey, 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 hey. Stop that.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
We are on our way to the Hyena Den. We've left Buffelshoek and we're heading slowly back inwards. I think it's still quite hot, actually, to be fair, but the sun's going down, and of course we don't have a working IR light, so we've just got a small window of time to try and catch the hyenas. Well, not actually catch them, but you know what I mean. And I really do want to see if Ribbon's there. It's been quite a few days now, I think 3, if I'm not mistaken. I do tend to lose track of the days. That's one thing I'm really terrible at. But yes, it's been quite some time since we've spotted her. So that's my mission now. I'm just heading on towards the den. I really, really hope we're lucky. You just will not find the hyenas there when it's too hot. Can you get them from here, Davy? Got 2 go-away birds. I just heard you tell us to go away. Yes, I did. Go away! Go away! Debbie, they use existing termite mounds, or it depends on the area that you're in, but at least in the Lowveld, they use existing mounds that have been built by the termites themselves, normally modified by aardvarks or porcupines, and then you will find that the cubs do their own sort of adjustments, if you like. They do their own little bit of construction, but generally speaking, they do not dig into the burrows from scratch. They've not really got claws that are specially adapted for digging. Their claws can actually be quite blunt a lot of the time. They don't use them in hunting. It's not like the protractable claws of the cats or that of a digging animal, such a porcupine. Aren't they just such lovely birds? I mean, if I was a bird, I would want feathers on my head just like that. Quite monotonous and bland in colour. But I mean, look at that mohawk. Ah, and off they fly. So off we must go. I did check the den this morning, but no such luck. Okay, so I'm going to make my way towards the den. I've got my fingers and toes crossed, and we're going to send you across to Tswalu for another silent segment.
just have a look at that. Beautiful light on this crested francolin, which looks kind of in an awkward spot. Especially considering it's a ground-dwelling bird. Yes, one always has to climb down and back up. That way maybe the view will improve. So, it is a ground-dwelling bird. If you have a look at it, you can see quite a large rounded body, relatively long neck, and then short legs. More adapted for walking on flat ground, and there it goes. So the reason it was up there is because that is a very good viewpoint to look at danger, and that is the dangerous African lion right there in the shade. Looks like he's fast asleep. So that little bird came walking around, foraging around the taller grasses at the base of the tree of which he's using the shade. And because it's not very tall and the grasses are so tall, it didn't see the lion up until it came right next to it and got the fright of its life and ran up that dead stump we saw it on just now. Now, this lion has rolled around and he's facing the other way, and what's interesting is now I can actually see his face slightly better. And if you have a look at him now, even though he's still breathing what seems to be quite heavily, it's not very, it's actually quite normal. His ears aren't flicking. It's moving a little bit, and I think it was picking up on the noise of birds at the back. I can hear something spooked them. But I think while this lion's sleeping, we'll send you over to Djuma with his 30 zebra.
We are back out after quite a heavy rainstorm, but just for a brief moment, and it stopped raining for now, and we've got some beautiful zebras here at the airstrip in the southern part of the reserve, and you can hear all the frogs going crazy and singing around us with all the water that's now around all of a sudden. We had about 14 millimeters of rain within 10 or so minutes, 15 minutes. But have a look at these zebras. What is interesting of these two is the one on the right, that is that reddish brown color, and you'll see he's gonna move over the road soon, or he's close to the road, and you can see the swirl is this red color from all the iron in it. And then the zebra on the left is actually quite light in color. Quite interesting seeing these two together like this. But this stallion that you're on the right hand side with the brown coloration has been listening and looking quite intently towards the right hand side, and I can hear some birds' alarm calling and making some sounds or so. And he keeps on listening and looking in that direction, so I wonder what is there. Maybe there's some other zebras around. But he's definitely getting irritated by the insects a lot. A lot of stomping of his legs and biting back. So he's picking his head up and listening quite intently ahead. Lots of biting insects, especially now on their coats. Can imagine some of the water sitting on their coats, and a lot of insects, biting insects coming and sitting on them and biting them. Look at that, they're looking straight at us. And look at this beautiful view that we are right now. You can see the storm came from, and it looks like it's getting pretty dark in that direction as well. So maybe some more rain a little bit later on. And we've got like a bit of a hole in the sky with some light coming through as well. But these zebras, let's see where they go. They were actually standing right next to our vehicle earlier, and then all of a sudden just started trotting into that spot where they are now. And whatever they are smelling or looking at. Kim, you're saying someone needs a shower. Yeah, I think this zebra was especially happy with a bit of rain, and it could roll around in a bit of the wetter soil to get some of it stuck to its body, to get rid of some of these biting insects, but it's not really helping too much, is it? See the other zebra coming and catching up with him. Look at the two next to each other. The contrast is quite cool. And the wind is kind of blowing from us towards the zebras, but they're not listening to us or looking in our way, so I don't think it's our smell that's making them look and listen. Oh, the one's just turning his head towards us now. But for now, I think we are going to keep on going and see if we can find some other animals while these zebras move around. We'll keep an eye on them though, and we'll send you over to Lauren where she's got something exciting.
Very exciting. This is what you call an active hyena den. Hello, madam. Where do you think you're going? Everyone's very busy. We've got Heart's the adult. And then we have both her cubs, Higwazi, Shimbulu and Corky's daughter out. Everybody's here except June's little bug. Junebug. I love that. Such a great name. Sadly, no ribbon. It doesn't mean, please don't think the worst. She could have been here and we've just missed her. She could come here during the night when it's a lot cooler. They're nocturnal after all. She could be waiting underneath a leopard, hoping for an impala to drop into her mouth. Yes, she was limping. But let's not worry just yet. Got a lovely greeting ceremony happening right in front of us. They learn that skill very, very young. And although it's very bizarre to us, it's really important for the social structure of hyenas. It's really, really important. All clan members will greet each other this way. And it's a way of saying, you're part of my clan. No matter what your rank is, we're clan members. I'm exposing my genitalia to you, and that means I do trust you, and we're on the same side at the end of the day. Yes, they sometimes get aggressive with one another and they need to establish their rank and their dominance, but at the end of the day, they are part of the same clan, and it's really, really important that they have some sort of connection, and that's what a greeting ceremony allows. Yes, they are, Kerry. They're huge. Well, June's one's not so huge, but yes. They're growing at a remarkable rate. They've really, all 5 of them, I would say now, have quite distinguished spot patterns. And you can really see the pattern now. They're still fluffy. They'll lose that fluff as they get older. But you can really start to identify them, who's who, and they've all got a spot pattern. I wonder if there was a carcass here. It smells a little bit funky and the cubs have been chewing on something. I wonder if they had something delightful early. Okay, so I'm going to sit here a little bit longer, and for now we're going to send you across to a silent segment at Tswalu. So you're still with us after all? You're not with Tswalu, sorry about that. Look at Heart's face. You know, when Heart's fed, she can look huge. But the way she's sitting right now, she looks... Angelic's definitely not the right word. But she looks very, very sweet right now. She's got her head on her two paws. She's definitely a dominant female, absolutely. But I still don't think she's more dominant than Ribbon or Djuma. That I guess time will tell what's going on with the Djuma clan. They can't really afford any more upset. Small clan, been through a lot of turmoil. Ribbon went from rags to riches. I think it was you, Michael, that came up with that one, and I loved it. She was at the bottom after all. Lots of upset, loss of cubs. But they're starting to thrive again. We've got 6 cubs here at the Djuma clan. Oh, there's a little one, and I don't think Davi's going to be able to see it because of the way I've parked. He's going to say, I told you so. Are you going to say that, Davi? I think she's gone back inside. I'm convinced it's a she, but I could be wrong, and I'm more than happy to say that. And we will reposition in a little bit and get a view, because I imagine she'll come out. If the others come out, she'll come out too. You've got to be with the big boys and girls. You don't want to be in the den on your own. That's no fun. But I'm going to sit here as long as the light will allow. I'm not going to move anywhere because I really want to see what other adults come. What just happened there? It was Heart's little one acting dominant over Corky's daughter, from what I can see. Dominique, Djuma's really, really small. Very small. It's just a little square of land. It's not large in size. And the Djuma clan is the only clan on Djuma. There are neighbouring clans around. The one that we probably know the best, or not the best, but we're most familiar with would be the Elephant Plains clan. But otherwise, the only clan on Djuma is the Djuma clan. And it's also not a big clan. But I also think there's lots of information that we're missing. I think there'll be a clan to the north that could come from the Manguletti side. There'll definitely be a clan in the Kruger to our eastern side. I think there's a lot we don't know about the Spotties, as they call them. Down in Tswalu, they have the Spotties and the Brownies. I can definitely smell some sort of carcass. I can't think what they've had, but they've had something. There's no mistaking that smell. Rotten flesh. I forgot to actually mention Djuma's 1,200 hectares. I realised I just said it was small, but what I meant in my head was it's a lot smaller than some of the other properties around here. So I'm going to sit here, and now we're going to throw you over to some other live location.
We just came around the corner to check this watering hole that's here next to us, and we found, oh look, oh my goodness, it's going. Why on earth was it going so quickly? We were sitting here for at least 10 minutes, and all of a sudden this crocodile's just gone down. It's going down all the way to the water. Just keep your eyes peeled close to the water there. There it goes. In between all the birds, through the grass. Oh, look at the wildebeest coming in. There's wildebeest right there next to us. I wonder if the crocodile realized that there's wildebeest close by and then went straight into the water. Now the wildebeest have turned and they're actually running through the bushes and trees. I can't see them from where I am. I wonder if they realized that the crocodile was there. Yes, they're all running back in the opposite direction now. That was very, very interesting. Hayley, you're asking if crocodiles ever get frightened, and yes, they definitely do. Like this one, I think might have gotten startled from the footsteps and so of maybe the wildebeest and stuff close by, because out of the water they do feel quite vulnerable, I think, compared to in the water. They are more well adapted to being in the water, but also this crocodile, I think, maybe didn't get if it didn't get a fright, maybe it just went back into the water there to see if it can maybe get in a position to maybe prey on some of these wildebeest or so. That was very interesting. Literally, as you came to us, it just got up and went. And I don't know if you saw how quickly it could move on land. Much quicker than what you would think. So they are obviously extremely good swimmers with that big muscular tail. But I don't know if you saw it pick up its whole body off of the ground and then just start running. Quite scary seeing them move like that. There's a lot of water birds actually next to the water there, and there's actually a hippo, but I've only seen one hippo in the watering hole further in the back. And earlier we were driving through a riverbed that is usually dry, a bit further to the right hand side, and after that rainstorm there was still some water coming down the riverbed towards this watering hole, which is great. So happy for some good rain. So there you are saying that it's not safe to walk in the bush, even because there might even be crocodiles around. I think if you should see a crocodile on foot, the crocodile will probably have a big fright and try and run away from you more than anything else. Like I said, they're not very well adapted to hunt and move on open land, and they'll try and hunt as much as they can in the water, apart from scavenging, which they do out if they can smell a carcass or find a carcass out on dry land. But I think you are safe from crocodiles out in the open while walking. But that hippo that's there in the back, he's just disappeared underneath the water. That would be something to be very careful of out of the water. Again, every year now and then, hear some monkeys alarm calling in the distance as well, but there's lots of frogs calling as well, lots of water lying around after that rainstorm that we had. The crocodiles, just his head and nostrils sticking out, trying to cover its whole body under the water. I wonder what it was doing so far out of the water. Maybe digging to lay some eggs. Miss Anjan, you're asking how many crocodiles are in this particular watering hole. it's impossible to say, as crocodiles can actually move long distances over land to get to water. And this particular watering hole is just a small watering hole, or is quite a big watering hole, but one of many watering holes that is on the reserve. But also we have Lake St. Lucia, which is not too far away from where we are. So crocodiles can easily cover that distance and go to that one. So it's impossible to say. But we have before counted at least 40 baby hatchlings or baby crocodiles on the bank, and I'm sure they are all still around, and they'll probably only leave this watering hole when they get much bigger and older. So there is lots of tiny ones, but I've only ever seen 2 big ones here. But when it comes to water in Africa like this, you should always assume that there is crocodiles and more than just one. Oh, look at that crocodile just disappearing underneath the water there. And oh, there you can just see his back coming out, starting to swim a bit, going from right to left. If it's very shallow, you'll see his back sticking out a little bit, or when he makes himself a bit more buoyant. But I think the sun is setting quickly, so we're going to see if we can go and have a look and find some cheetah, and we'll send you over to Andrew.
Thank you very much. We have visited now another watering hole. So as you can see here, it's quite a lot of nest material that was happening, or it's happening in these very dry trees over here, and that made by all buffalo weavers. They are very much social weaver, able to do that. Now across to that further away, there is a tour of kingfishers. Fish eagle, yes. So sorry. There's an African fish eagle sitting in there, pair of them. It's probably they're attracted in this area because there's actually a big lake around here. There's a possible of a plenty of fish that eagle will hunt for. Now all breeze, temperatures dropping from that heat we started from until now, where the sun is already up, down, it's already setting. And all sounds of birds will come about. This is when they're gonna greet for the last time. Until tomorrow, those are day birds moving in the daylight. So, African fish eagle, they are greater hunter. From sitting in that position, flying down to the water, and they aim for the target. So they have incredible eyesight. Adorable. You say it's what a stunning pair. Indeed, it is. Beautiful pair of them there. And only when they're together like this, to tell the difference from male and female is by looking at the size of the bird. They all look the same in color, but the female's a lot bigger, male small. So I'm gonna stay put here just to see if it's gonna be anything arrive into this waterhole.
And how beautiful is the sun setting in that sky. Beautiful calm before the storm. Somewhere over on that side there's a huge storm brewing. And as the sun's setting, I think let's sit and listen to the night sounds. I can hear the birds settling for the night.
Thank you very much. So I still haven't moved here, and what you see on the background there, it's all our water bugs, and it's quite a nice, beautiful open area here. Now it's getting dark, or it's about to get dark. That old antelopes, impalas, those around here, these are the ones that won't be in the thick bushes. They will probably patch into the open area very much for the night. It's actually a lot of a water bug, those one back there. But it is usual for water bug females to form a group of all female different age. Wow, that was our African fish eagle that was just making sound, both of them together. So you say the antelope are grazing peacefully. Yes, you're right. And especially it's very open, not disturbed right now. looks like they had maybe there's a one single call from the impala that make them now look. But that I think it was not a serious alarm call, so they're all going to be fine, all of them right now. Well, you see now impalas involved in that area. This is very interesting about the herbivore species, where they sometimes tolerate each other in different species, especially impalas and these waterbuck, wildebeest. So they're more likely to graze together and not disturbed. So, but it forms a beautiful trust where they rely on each other. There are so many eyes look out for any possible approach, which then it is going to be dangerous. Cats, those are the ones that would be disturbing them in this open area. Dogs also. RJ, you're saying sound of the bush, it's nice and relaxing. You're very right indeed. It's actually coming to in a beautiful end of the day like this. All you hear, all birds. And the hippos in the background. These ones are also going to get out soon. Sounds of the birds that they actually don't move at night. It's so good that they all communicate. So tomorrow they will know the direction of their other partners, where they are there, and they will be hooked up again the next morning. Most of these antelope, they're going to take it easy for the night by lying down, chewing a cud over the night, because they are ruminant. Digestive system works. Such an amazing sound from the hippos. Tabo, you say you like the sound that the hippo makes. It's 100%. You're 100% right there. I agree with you. That's why I stopped talking, and just because I realize now they're all just going to communicate. And they're going to continue doing this until they get out. beautiful yawn. So it's a big lake over here, Tswalu Dam, and a whole group of hippos. And in this site here where we have this group on the far end, eastern side, there's another group. For them to communicate, it's so important because now they have to gather together as they move out grazing. And it's just grass. It's just a beautiful view there of the whole edge of the dam on the far east. You know, you say hippo, you think they have the biggest mouth in the animal kingdom. They do have a big mouth. And I'm just not too sure if when this mouth open compared to croc, which one opened the most, but I think hippo would be still the one then. Also yawning could mean a few things. Warning whatever's around, or just normally behavior that do yawn, and they're showing this massive bottom canine modified tuskus teeth they have, which is a serious weapon in them. And when they move out of here, they're probably going to move out to the far east or to the northern side of the dam here, because the south, that's where the camp is. If it's going to be a lot of activity there, they won't like it. They will probably come out to the northwards, where when they get out, they move anything from 4 kilometers, 5 kilometers. And then for that, they eat grasses. They love eating grasses. They every time have a specific area where they revisit it over the night, and every night they're around where they start the area where they mow the grass around the mound for the new shoots for the next day they're around. So they prefer very short grasses. They don't chew cud at all. They're not actually ruminant animals. They're free-handed. So I'm going to leave the dam here. Now I'm going to be shining with the spotlight. Hopefully we'll get the cat. I'm going to be sending you across to Lauren with the elephant.
Now this unfortunately will most likely be our last segment as windy, as it's just getting really dark really quickly. And I realise I say windy a lot and some of you may be confused. It's the name of the car. Instead of saying Davy and I, we say Wendy. We are Team Wendy. Andrew's on Rusty and Jigga, well, Jigga passed away a long time ago. But we're just admiring the elephants on quarantine. We had to leave the den, I'm afraid. Hart decided to get up and go, and there was no other adult. And as you know, we don't stay there. It's just very good practice not to stay there when cubs are very young. Ribbon's pair are fine, but the other one's not so much, especially June's little one. You don't want to encourage youngsters to come out and be all too familiar because the vehicle's there, leaving them vulnerable. Can't put youngsters at risk when there's no adult. So still no update on Ribbon, but don't worry, I will not give up. You all know me, I'll be at the den first thing. There's actually elephants everywhere, Davy. I've just realised. We're losing light, but we've got elephants in front and elephants to the side. They're everywhere. It's nice to see big herds on quarantine. You can see that sun starting to set. You can see how crucial and important IR light really is, actually. Even although it gives a black and white colour, it's still, oh, Davy, look, I didn't see this one. They're all just coming out of everywhere. Hello. Nothing beats having elephants in front of the car. It makes you feel so small. Hello. Yes. That was just a little, do you know how big I am? Do you know how small I am? I'm very small. Some of these youngsters around the sort of teenage years, they love to just show their size. Dolly, yes, the elephants are coming to say goodnight. They really are. They're coming out of everywhere, and it just shows you how careful you have to be in the dark. My eyes are already struggling. Crepuscular times of day. Human eyes are not equipped for that low ambient light. And therefore the elephants are coming out of everywhere, and I wasn't seeing them all, so that's why you have to be very, very careful when driving around at night time. There you go. I think we've lost far too much light now, I'm afraid. You can just see the tail end of the sunset. Isn't it beautiful? That's such a wonderful sighting. We are going to bumble home now, I'm afraid. We shall be out tomorrow, of course. So bye from Team Windy, and we're now going to send you across to another location.
And now it's started to get dark here on Ngala, and we are currently looking at a white-backed vulture way up in the top of a dead Peter's fig. You can see from the feet there, I know at the angle that it's at, you can't really see the tail feathers, and you can notice that it's a large bird, but if you look at the feet, you can see it's got long claws, but not quite talon-like. It looks actually like it's got quite an awkward perch there. Now at night, this vulture and its mate, we had one fly off as we arrived, and I know that there's a nest not far from this position, so I think maybe the mate went back to the nest. And we find that these vultures often roost in nearby dead trees at night and not always at the nesting site itself. You can see the breeze blowing up there. If you look at the feathers around the vent area, you can see the breeze going, and then from the weight of the vulture itself, you can see the entire tree at the top shaking. So as the branches are moving, this vulture is trying to balance itself, and that's why it's got this kind of awkward perch with the head kind of forward. We can't even see it at this point. Now this vulture would normally during a daytime also be perched up high, waiting for the warm air currents to rise and the thermals to pick it up and give it lift to save energy, in which case it'll be looking for food from the air. Anthony, what preys on vultures? Now, generally the rule of thumb out here is anything that's larger and eats other creatures preys on something smaller. But the vulture, from what I've noticed, cats. And what we have seen here is we had a young leopard that grew up in this area, and this leopard's mother died at quite a young age. So in order to sustain himself, we had this leopard climb way up to the top of the trees and grab the vulture chicks from the nest. Well, technically they were very exposed against a resourceful predator like that. On one or two occasions, he was seen eating large vultures as well. You can imagine a big bird like that, which normally preys on dead animals and spends a lot of time around large predators. They respect the larger predators, but they don't seem to have an innate fear for them, and they spend a lot of time around them, so they should have some knowledge of their behavior and what they're capable of. But I guess to answer this question straight, anything larger, anything that eats meat and is able to get hold of a vulture will be able to eat it. And this is not a bad spot to be nesting. It's right on the bank of the Timbavati riverbed. It's got a lot of these big dead trees nearby, which is what a large bird like a vulture mostly use. Because of its bulk, its very large wingspan, it's difficult to fly into a tree and perch into a tree, especially one with a canopy or with lots of leaves and small branches. So they tend to go as the parent option, which is usually at the top of this really big tree. Have a look at that. Peter's fig tree. Lee, do vultures eat other vultures? I've never seen it myself. I know they have been recorded doing it, but I've never seen it myself. And come to think of it, I've very rarely actually seen a dead vulture around a carcass or a feeding frenzy. I have seen them feed on hyena, a dead hyena before,
interestingly enough. The only creature I saw feeding on the dead hyena. And maybe some of the vultures will feed on the others, given the chance. You can see every now and again we just see the vulture's eye and head pop through the branches. Even though it's not adapted for life after dark, I'm pretty sure even in these low light conditions they'll still be able to see movement of large predators within the riverbed. Things like lions. I know there's been a lot of lion movement in this area lately. We suspect that there might be a lioness with a den somewhere nearby. They've had a zebra a long ago. In fact, only about 100, 200 meters from this very spot. A good spot for the vultures to nest. Lots of opportunities. Now, the tree itself is also quite interesting. This tree took about 2 years to die, actually. And Fiona, do vultures eat some sort of vegetation? I don't actually know, to be honest. I've never seen them. I've never heard or read about it before. And it is possible. I know that predatory animals, predatory birds, often they do eat some vegetation to help them with the digestive process. So I'm really not too sure. But that big tree took about 2 years to die in total. It looked fine, and then suddenly we started realizing that the leaves started growing back a lot less after the dry season, and eventually it completely died and branches have broken off in the wind. And it's hard to say exactly why. It doesn't look like there's any elephant damage on the tree itself. And I had a talk with another naturalist not too long ago, and he was mentioning that some of the studies that they've done in the larger area have shown that a lot of these fig trees, especially that grow very close to the riverbed itself, have suffered from a prolonged effect of the drought, of which the pinnacle in this area was 2016. Maybe it's damage to the roots, maybe the water table at that point was so low that the tree literally couldn't get enough access to it and eventually died or suffered to the point where it couldn't recover. And trees are big things. They take a very long time to get to the size, so they can live for long, and funnily enough, even their death is long as well. Would be a good place that for a leopard to pull up prey or hoist prey. Could be a brilliant tree for a nesting site. Funnily enough, there is no nests in it yet. I wonder, it might be maybe creatures know that it's not sturdy enough. Maybe the branches break too easily. Figs do become quite brittle, and the branches do break easily, even in the storm or in the wind. I think eventually that's probably what's going to be the end. But for now, what I think we'll do is, since the weather is so much cooler than earlier today, and we're along the riverbed, I think we're going to continue and see if we might find some of the shy nocturnal creatures.
My name is Taylor McCurdy and I work for Eco Training. I love hearing from all of the viewers. However, I particularly enjoy those of you who have been watching for a few years. Your questions are just so advanced and they really get me thinking. If you'd like to ask a question on WildEarth, you need to register on our website. Once you've done that, head to the live safari page and submit your questions below the live feed.
Join our Explorers program so we can keep on sharing nature with the world. For a monthly subscription, you will have the opportunity to win fantastic WildEarth expeditions, have access to an animal identification app, receive weekly highlights from our shows, and much more. All the money will go to keeping these live safaris on air, which in turn connects a global population with nature.
Hello everyone, my name is Trishala and I am a naturalist and safari guide here in Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands in South Africa. I think that the information that we provide, and most importantly the questions that you ask, give both you and I a really good idea of what's going on. My friend Fernando here, he's a flat-necked chameleon and I love them. They're just these gems that you manage to find in the bush.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth. Have you been watching WildEarth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. WildEarth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live WildEarth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
Thank you very much. We found a male giraffe and he's very stationary. And looks like this is where he's gonna probably be around here. They can sometimes move at night when they want, but they can sometimes spend time in one place when they want to lie down. Or standing up still. Charles, you say it seems to be nocturnal animals. Actually, in fact, we're using IR light, so and that's why when you look at the color, you still see beautiful color, but you know, we don't shine at them. It's actually dino, the animal. So the light itself from us is gonna disturb him so much. But like this, it's fine because he's not affected by anything from us right now. Just looks like a statue. So from standing up, that you will be able to defend himself very well. If there is any attack here where lions would hunt during the day or at night. But it's got to be a pride, more than one line. Because to bring that animal, like these very tall animals, and it's very difficult for 3 lionesses. They're probably not going to do it. So, horse lover, you say it's what the tall giraffe. Looks like almost size of the tree over here. Some trees are slightly shorter, those are small, of course. You would be around 5.5 to 6 meter tall as a male. That's average height. And he's very tall. So their special diet is this tree around here, where there's Acacia grasses, thorn trees species that's around. It's their favorite. And a browser. Just a very long tongue would be able to help them get through these foliage trees, canopies, select leaves with that prehensile tongue they have. Henry, I think I copied or heard you well there. You said this giraffe has got a creepy eye. They have such incredible, beautiful eyelashes. And their eyes are actually big enough, but suit the whole body of animals, also neck. They have a brilliant vision. They can see far away. Because they have tallest neck, they have advantage of seeing around them. What easy. And he is a ruminant. Chew card like most ruminant animals. He was able to do that. They're standing up, which is not easy for such an animal like this to be able to regurgitate. Card to the mouth, rechew again. Swallow it, and do that over and over until he's done. So everybody, we're coming in the end of the show for this evening, or this afternoon, until we meet again tomorrow in the African time, 5:30 Central African time. We all wish you the best of the evening until we see you tomorrow, bright and early. From us, goodbye.